I've realised that it's fractionally stronger than, like, I don't. Maybe it's tough times. We haven't bought one out of the coffee machine.
I don't mind black coffee, but yeah, that'd keep me up for about 3 days.
Yours looks like sticking to the cup.
Yeah. It's too hot.
It's hot, isn't it?
It's got no milk in it to cool it down.
Well, I put those sachet milks in because I haven't brought milk in.
Look at the colour of it. I don't know if I can tip it in up. It's like hot chocolate.
The good thing is you can chew it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday morning show. Good morning, Lester.
Good morning, Noam.
How are we today?
Very good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very good. I see you wearing a hat today.
I didn't know we were filming this morning, so
right.
When I left my flat, I'm in a park 3/4 of a mile, nearly a mile away from my flat, because there's no parking. And when I opened the front door, it was chucking it down, so I just whacked a hat on, whacked waterproofs and ran up it. So I didn't, I would have done my hair, so I do apologise for everybody who was looking forward to seeing my hair. But yeah.
Looks good though, I like the hat.
Thanks.
So, what a fantastic video you put out this week.
Me personally?
Yeah, your chipping video.
Oh, chipping. I didn't know.
No, we haven't got that far yet, have we? Yeah. No. We are getting there. You are now loaded up. Your computer is now loaded up with editing software, ready to go.
It was, it was, for the amount of time it actually took to film, it was one of the shortest ones. That I didn't think there'd be enough content of what you filmed, obviously with your B-roll and stuff. It came across really well. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was a good lesson, to be honest.
Well, it was. There was so much to take from that video. Like, it wasn't just a short game video. It was more going into the depths of, going deep into rabbit holes that probably, and there was a lot of great comments from people saying, for you to open up as much as you did on camera and all that. But then that's kind of what we do. That's what this channel is kind of all about. It's about getting down to the personal sides of the golf game, because there are so many demons in there with lots of players, and I think it went down really well with lots of people who are suffering the same way you suffer.
I mean, we said that, didn't we, when we first went solo? We said that we wanted to make our channel as personal as possible, so that people would get to know us. Yeah. And we wouldn't leave any stone unturned, and we don't, do we? We're willing to answer any questions and stuff like that. We'd like people to sort of invest in us and get to know us, don't we? We want to get to know other people.
On that note, this channel has now been going, we've been going a year. Since the first video that we put out was a year ago.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a year ago, so it was literally like the last week in January, so this is kind of like moving into, I know we've moved into February now, but we've been going a year.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I've enjoyed it. Good little run we've had, despite what's happened with the world, obviously. Yeah. It couldn't have gone much better, could it, to be honest?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Not even like, it's gone to a level that I didn't think we could get in certainly year one, because it takes a long time to grow these channels. And what the frustrating bit for me now is that we got onto some really good momentum with Parlin Kenfig and Ashburnham, and then it just like bang, just hits a wall, and it's like, we were really like the comments, the views, everything was going like straight up. Yeah. And it will bounce back and we'll get going again and things, but it's just when you get that momentum going, it's like, you just want to keep going.
I would still see it we can use it as a positive. It gives you a little bit more time to reflect and assess on that. I mean, normally without this, it'd just be one boom, 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 and you don't get the time to actually sort of think and reflect and analyse what you've done, which you can do that a little bit more, can't you?
And I certainly have. Certainly have done that.
It just shows that you need. I know we've got a bit in the bank as such, but it's nice to almost be sort of 2-3 months ahead, isn't it, of what's been shown was 2-3 months ago. Yeah.
Do you know one thing that's really got me probably the last week or two is how I kind of wanted this channel to grow fast and get going and really move forward, and actually, to an end goal. Like, I don't even know what the end goal is with this channel. Like, it's something that will evolve. If you think about what YouTube wasn't even here, kind of 2005 I think YouTube got going. So YouTube is developed massively over those past sort of 15 years, and it's part of the whole journey of us learning what this channel actually becomes and what we actually do with it. But it's also given me a chance to think about, instead of putting out content that is all about searchable content, is all about what I think the algorithm needs for YouTube, it's actually I've taken a step back a little bit and sort of thought, well, do you know what? I just want to put out content that I enjoy making, that we enjoy making, and that the viewers they really grab to it. I don't want to go down the line of just creating content because it's content to get things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally, 100% on the same page, aren't we? But
it might take the channel a little bit longer to grow, but I think from a personal point of view, I think it's definitely the way forward.
Yeah,
definitely the way forward.
I think some of your ideas and some of your, like this idea of just sitting here talking, the whole idea of it, we tried it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we stop and we try something different.
And actually, what's interesting is this show alone. This was I don't know what this was, kind of like a review show and a roundup of the week and things like that, which has been great. But it's actually turned into more than that. And if you think about everything that we do, this is the most consistent. The most constant thing that we create is the Sunday morning show, and I think it's actually become the main focus of the channel, and then we have the offshoots from here.
To be honest, I mean, this sort of show, and obviously we've got all the lighting and bits and bobs, and we're sat here, but we talk like this all the time, don't we? It's just generally during the day when we're in the shop, just general chit chat about anything, isn't it? Yeah.
So on that note then, do you have any questions from the audience?
I've got one question, which I will...
because there's something I do want to talk about today, which is the golf ball side of things that we've been talking about. Rory McIlroy's just mentioned some stuff.
So I've got a question from Nick Yandel.
Hello, Nick.
Hi, Nick. And he said, how come both Paul and Wilbur still use the TaylorMade M2 drivers? With all the reviews of how forgiving the latest releases are, do they plan to change? Keep up the hard work. Best content on YouTube.
Okay, so it's basically, you got to start thinking about golf equipment as tools. And we go back to Lester's video that we did this week and talking about his chipping, and it's not just about his chipping, it was about the mental part of the game of golf. And what happens is when a player finds something that they really, really like, and something that's been through tournaments with them and they've had success with it, they build a trust. They build a trust in that product, in that driver, in that tool in their bag, to be able to then take it to the next tournament and just rely on it and know to pull it out of the bag and know exactly what that club is going to do. So for Paul and Will, and James Ruth is using M2, and I think even James Pickard was using M2. It's obviously a good product. And yes, there are products out there that possibly go a bit further and they might be able to get some more ball speed and this, that and the other, but it takes a lot of courage and guts for those types of players to make that change. You only have to go along the tour ranges and look at the tour players, and lots of those players will have clubs in their bag that are very old clubs. You just look at us as examples. I still carry a Zing 2 iron, and you carry a TaylorMade RBZ, don't you? 5 wood, yeah.
So
they're just clubs that they hold on to, and I know that Will is actually going to be changing clubs in a minute, and I'm not going to talk about that now. I'll talk about that another time. But Will is actually making a bit of a shift in some clubs, and I'll talk about that. With Paul changes. Paul does tinker. Paul is the biggest tinkerer of clubs I know. I mean, his garage is racked out with lots of clubs. He's got his net set up in there. He's always hitting balls and messing about with it. But he always goes back to his TaylorMade, because ultimately, if nothing's going to beat that driver, as in, he might get 1 mile an hour ball speed out of something else, but if he doesn't trust it, he's not going to put it in the bag.
No. I mean, you've only got to look at the main tour pros, that they have the opportunity to alter and tinker with their equipment, and when they're developing new stuff for the market or for themselves, it takes so many different versions. I mean, Ricky Fowler's new irons, the copper ones, which look amazing, apparently it took 33 or 34 different generations of them tweaking and changing for him to actually get an iron, which he was like, yeah, that's it.
100%.
But we haven't got that opportunity to do that, have we? We might be able to change the grip or fiddle around a bit with shafts and stuff like that. But if they're tinkering that much to change just for a change, it shows that, you know.
Yeah. It like I say, it takes time to put a different driver in the bag, and these guys do test. You know, will test and Paul will test, and if they're not finding anything that's really making a massive improvement, what's the point in changing?
No.
You know, at the end of the day, if they're going to be offline, it's generally not the driver. It's going to be them that's going to be offline, and they'll want to change their swing or do something around that. You know, most drivers out there are going to just do what you ask it to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, you can't buy a game, can you? That's the thing. You have to work at it. You have to put the time and effort in. And, you know, trust it. If you've got a club you trust and it does what you want it to do, then, you know, like you said, you get a positive.
There's so many players. If you think about tour players, I mean, even like Rory McIlroy is a prime example. I mean, I think he went to he was using maybe a Nike golf ball for a period of time, and I'm not sure how well he got on with it, but you know, when they change equipment, and they're changing because they're generally paid to move to another product, it takes a bit of time for them. You see them just go off the boil for a while, and it's generally something's happened. It's probably something in their golf bag that's
the Lee Westwood one's a good one, isn't it?
What happened with him?
He used to, he was obviously Ping's main guy at one time, and now I think he's got a subcontract, or just like it's not his main contract. He's got Ping on the
full Ping though. I think he still is.
Yeah,
full
but he's
Ping
got Ping on the side of his hat, and he's got someone else on the front. He's not full Ping now. Like he's not got the top contract. But he used to start the year with all the new Ping stuff, and then sort of by April, May, he'd gone back
to his old stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was using i10 driver. He always went back to
the G10
or G10 driver. He'd always go back to that. He used to use the Zing 2 irons, which I've got. He had them up until about, I don't know, it's probably 7-8 years ago. Yeah. Whatever the new stuff was, he'd use it, and they'd be like, no, and he'd go back to his tried and trusted, which, you know.
Yeah. So hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah.
With regards to those guys. In a very long-winded way. That's the show done. Right, I want to talk about this golf ball thing going on. Okay. What's happening? Tell me.
So there's a couple of parts to this, but I think it's to do with the Masters coming up and Bryson really, and they're saying at the moment that he's hitting. Basically, they're almost singling him out, saying that he's hitting the ball too far. He's overpowering golf courses. He's taking a lot of the skill away from it. Yeah. And that he's basically going to turn up at the Masters, smash his 48-inch driver, like 400 yards through the air, and basically drive every hole or chip and putt around the golf course and knock it around in stupidly low. So the USGA are thinking of banning the 48-inch driver, making it maximum length 46.
Heard that, yeah.
And there's also talk, but I don't know how far along this is, whether it will happen for this particular major, the Masters, of making a Masters golf ball, I think you'd call it. I mean,
so reducing it or making it spinny or something along those lines.
That's not a massively new concept. There's been a lot of talk about that for years, but I've quite strong opinions on this.
Yeah.
And I think they're almost. I mean, it's not like Bryson's dominating golf. It's not like every tournament he turns up to, he wins. Yeah. And he's not like winning by 10 shots. And it's not like I hit like Formula One. Lewis Hamilton turns up, wins every single race. Yeah. More or less. He's world number 8. He's not even the world's number 1. Mm. So he's not. I mean, he did dominate the US Open. Don't get me wrong. He won that by considerable. He's only won one major. Yeah. And it's no different. We looked at driving distances. There was a discussion on TalkSport a couple of days ago, and when John Daly won the USPGA in '95, I think it was. Yeah. He was his averaging was 315. Yeah. Off the tee. Yeah. When Bryson won the US Open, he was averaging 325. Yeah. So it's gone up 10 yards in 25 years. So
there's two things that I've seen on Twitter that I actually retweeted and commented on. But Webb Simpson. Yeah. Webb Simpson said, well, I don't believe changing the ball is the way forward. It's not about the equipment, blah, blah, blah. It's about redeveloping the golf courses, creating more dog legs, creating more tighter pinch points. Paul and I, we talked about this on this show, talking about Paul's experience at the tour, about how it's pinched in at 260, and then at 290 it's like wide open.
Yeah.
There's opportunities to create these golf courses or redo these golf courses in a way and set them up and make them more punishing the further up you go, or not necessarily the further up you go, but make them more punishing consistently from 250 or 260 up to 350 yards. Like there's a, for a 100-yard gap, make it, pinch it in, do something with it and make that the challenge. That's what Webb Simpson said. Then you move on to Rory McIlroy was saying, and he was, you could say, I've never seen him quite this passionate about something, but he was very disappointed in the fact that the RNA and the USGA had spent millions of dollars doing this research on the ball, the distance the ball's going, and all of this sort of stuff. And what he was saying is actually that money should have gone back into the grassroots of developing golf. Yeah. And he is 100% right. Like, why waste all that money on that type of research when it actually could have got more people into the game of golf? Yeah. Roy was talking about different types of age groups and things like that, getting them into the game of golf, and then enhancing the golf from that. I
totally agree.
Totally agree with what you said.
If I was a USPJ, I would look at the type of golf courses they're producing. Yeah. Which are just bomb it off the tee, find your ball, chip it on the green, hold the putt. Make the golf courses different. They don't really play any links golf, do they, in America? I mean, there's a couple that's by the sea harbour towns. Yeah. But change when you're playing them. They follow the sun around. Like I couldn't see the problem. I mean, with the Open, they couldn't play it in July. Why didn't they play it in November over like 2-3 courses, a bit like they do with the Dunhill links, and make and like what we have to sometimes go and do, play in the freezing cold with the wind and the rain. Give them another challenge. I mean, a lot of them wouldn't like it. Don't get me wrong. No. But that's a different test of golf, isn't it?
I think from this side of it, it's more angled at the pros, so it's really attacking more the pros game. So it's not, I don't think you're going to see this massively affecting, which is what Roy was saying, was the average golfer wants more yardage, wants to hit it longer, higher, up in the air. These are golf balls, they're all helping to create that type of thing. I don't think it's really going at the average amateur golfer, should we say, like us as well. I don't think it's us. I think it's more the top.
But do you want to see them playing? I don't want to see them playing with a different ball or different stuff that we can use, because it's not comparable. That's what for me makes golf so great. I can go and play a golf course which they've played in a major tournament and play under the same conditions. Otherwise, I play football. Yeah. The likelihood of me I didn't, but getting to Wembley and playing on that turf, you want to be able to see that. You want to see them hit. I've got more or less the same driver as such and such, and he hits it 330 through the air. I hit it 260. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to compare things, whereas it wouldn't be.
But I don't see how it's going to change anything, because if me and you, if they take that distance away from me, I'm going to be 240 off the tee as opposed to 250, 260 off the tee. Yeah. Well, you're going to be going from 280 to 260, so I'm still 20 yards behind you, whatever happens.
Yeah, so it doesn't
I'm just going in with a longer club now, and you might be going with a longer club, but you're not as far back as I am still. So I don't really understand how they're going to, it's not bringing anyone closer together unless they're doing it on a percentage ball.
Plus,
I don't know.
We had this conversation when they were saying Poulter had this idea of limiting loft on driver. You can least amount of loft you're allowed, like 9-10 degrees. But the guys are so...
The companies are going to just get around it.
Yeah, and the players are so good that they'll just produce different impact angles, positions and different angles to then create that same sort of spin and launch angle and power. So I don't really...
But I would like to hear what you think about this. So put your comments down below about what you think about what's gone on. Do you think it's the right thing to do? Do you think it's the wrong thing to do? I'd like to hear what you think.
I just think about, like, Valderrama is one of the hardest golf courses on the tour, isn't it? And it's one of the shortest. Yeah. Because they just trick it up, don't they?
Exactly right. Why not do that? Absolutely.
Churston, I mean, when we played Churston in big comps, they'd stick the pins on slopes.
In tricky positions.
When it's bouncing, you couldn't get near that. You had to play middle of the green. You couldn't go for some pins. No, or if you wrong-sided
there are ways around this that are not this. Yeah. That I don't think are being thought of in every route. Yeah. Just one last thing. Okay. You have got some new irons in the bag, I see. We've had an eBay delivery.
It's new old irons.
They will be revealed. We're going to do a what's in the bag with Lester because he's finishing it. He's doing it all sort. It is impressive.
It's different, isn't it? It's similar to, you know, a bit old school, but then stuff that I've had good experiences with in the past.
There we go. You see,
Stuff
goes back to that driver, doesn't it?
Correct,
Bernie's finding old kit that he used
Tedious
to do well
link, that
with.
wasn't it? Tedious link, like that.
Like that, well done you. Right, everybody, thank you very much for watching another Sunday morning show. As always, stay safe out there, and we look forward to seeing you next Sunday.
See you next Sunday.